Long ago, in a time when the world was chaotic, and leaders called judges ruled the tribes of Israel, a shadow fell over the town of Bethlehem. The name Bethlehem actually means house of bread, but the ovens were empty, and the fields were dry. A man named Elimelech looked at his wife Naomi and their two sons, Mahlon and Kilian, and made the difficult choice to leave their home. They traveled across the border into the land of Moab, searching for nothing more than a chance to survive. This was a massive risk, because the Israelites and the Moabites were historic rivals who rarely shared a meal, let alone a life together. But the move did not solve their problems. While they were living as outsiders in Moab, Elimelech died. Naomi was left to raise her boys alone in a foreign country. Eventually, the sons grew up and married local women named Orpah and Ruth. For 10 years, they tried to build a future together. But then the unthinkable happened. Both Mahlon and Kilian died, leaving 3 women alone in a world that offered very little protection to widows. Naomi was crushed. Naomi felt like the entire universe was against her, and she decided there was nothing left for her in Moab. When Naomi heard that the harvest had finally returned to Bethlehem, she packed her few belongings. She looked at her daughters-in-law and told them to go back to their own families. She argued that she had no more sons for them to marry, and that their lives would be easier if they stayed with their own people. Orpah cried and eventually said her goodbyes, which was the logical thing to do. But Ruth refused to budge. She made a promise that has become legendary, telling Naomi that she would never leave her. Ruth declared that wherever Naomi went, she would go, and wherever Naomi slept, she would sleep. She even told Naomi that her people would become Ruth's people, and her God would become Ruth's God. She was all in, leaving her past behind for an uncertain future in a new land. The 2 women walked all the way back to Bethlehem, arriving just as the golden barley was ready for harvest. The townspeople were shocked to see Naomi, but she was so weighed down by grief that she told them to call her Mara, which means bitter. She felt empty, even though she was standing right next to a woman who had given up everything to be with her, to keep them from starving. Ruth went out into the scorching sun to glean. According to the law of that time, farmers were supposed to leave the edges of their fields unharvested, so the poor and the strangers could pick up the scraps. It was backbreaking work, but Ruth was determined to provide. By what looked like total coincidence, Ruth ended up in a field belonging to a man named Boaz. He was wealthy and known throughout the region for his noble character. When Boaz came from the city to greet his workers, he noticed Ruth and asked who she was. His manager told him she was the young Moabite woman who had come back with Naomi, and that she had been working hard since the sun came up. Boaz was impressed by her work ethic. He went to Ruth and told her not to go to any other field. He promised she would be safe with his workers, and told her to drink from their water jars whenever she was thirsty. Ruth was stunned by his kindness. She fell to the ground and asked why he was showing such favor to a foreigner. Boaz replied that he knew all about her loyalty to Naomi. He had heard how she left her home and her parents to come to a land she did not know. He prayed that the God of Israel would give her a full reward, and that she would find refuge under his protective wings. When Ruth came home that night with a massive amount of grain, Naomi's eyes lit up for the first time in years. When she heard it was Boaz who helped her, she realized that God had not forgotten them. She explained that Boaz was a kinsman redeemer, a relative who had the legal power to buy back their family land and provide a future for them. As the harvest ended, Naomi realized it was time to make a bold move. She told Ruth to wash up and go to the threshing floor where Boaz would be sleeping after a long day of work. Naomi instructed Ruth to wait until he was asleep and uncover his feet and lie down there. In their culture, this was a specific way of asking for protection in marriage. At midnight, Boaz woke up with a start and found Ruth at his feet. Ruth asked him to spread the corner of his garment over her, because he was a redeemer. Boaz was deeply moved. He called her a woman of noble character and promised to help her. But there was one legal hurdle. There was another man in town who was a closer relative than Boaz. The next morning, Boaz went to the city gate where all the important business happened. He called the other relative over and gathered 10 elders to witness the meeting. Boaz told the man that Naomi was selling her husband's land. At first, the man said he would buy it. But then Boaz dropped the big news. He explained that whoever bought the land also had to marry Ruth the Moabite to keep the family name alive. The other man realized this would complicate his own inheritance, and he backed out immediately. He took off his sandal and handed it to Boaz as a sign that the deal was official. Boaz and Ruth were married, and they eventually had a son named Obed. The women of Bethlehem gathered around Naomi, telling her that her life was full again. They said that Ruth was better to her than 7 sons. This baby boy, Obed, grew up to have a son named Jesse, who became the father of King David. The story of Ruth teaches us that no one is truly an outsider. It shows that kindness is contagious, and that even the smallest act of loyalty can have an impact that lasts for many generations. It is a story about how a bitter ending can be turned into a beautiful beginning, when people choose to live with character